Just a reminder to vote in this week's Locals poll, where you decide what deck I take to Locals every single week. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and for today we've got the profile for the deck we brought to Locals this past week, being Red Eyes. We went 2 wins and 1 loss. Our only loss was against Malice. We weren't able to clutch game 3, unfortunately, but overall I think we did pretty well. Here's what it looks like on paper, then we'll get to the card by card. Alright, so starting off with our monsters, we of course have 3 copies of the Red Eyes Black Dragon. So, of course, he is the main star of the deck. So, you know, we're running 3 of it so we can make as many fusions and, you know, get as many activations of other cards as possible. And also, this is my favorite artwork of it. Really like it. We also have 1 Dark Magician and 1 Summon Skull to go into the appropriate fusions. We'll get into those later. Next, we also have 2 copies of Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon and 3 copies of Red Eyes Metal Claw Dragon. So, with this one, you can use it to access Max Metal Morph. And then with this one, you send the face down to special summon it, and you can activate Metal Morph traps the turn they are set. So this one can either be used to go into rank 7 plays, or you can use it for the Metal Morph, so I do like the flexibility there. Next, 2 copies of Red Eyes Soul. So this one, when our opponent special summons a monster, we can send it from our hand or field to grave to special summon a Red Eyes from the deck. So this allows us to get a body on the board potentially turn 0, so that's really nice just to be able to have that extra body. Next, we also have 3 copies of Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. So with this one, it's basically Magician Souls for the deck. We dump Red Eyes to special summon it, and then it makes itself level 7. And then it has a graveyard effect where we can banish it to search for Red Eyes Fusion. Next, we of course have everyone's favorite level 1 dragon, being Black Metal Dragon. We've got 3 copies of it. Basically, it allows us to equip it to a Red Eyes monster, or we can search a Red Eyes card when it's sent from the field to the grave. So using this along with the Metal Claws Dragon is really nice. You can set this face down, activate Metal Claws to send this, and then you're off to the races. Next up, we've got 3 copies of the Black Stone of Legend. This one, you can tribute a Red Eye, or excuse me, you can tribute it to summon Red Eyes from your deck, and then when it's in the graveyard, you can also shuffle a Red Eyes back into the deck in order to add this back to your hand. But you can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once that turn, so you can't use both in the same turn, unfortunately. Next, rounding out the monsters, we have 1 copy of Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight. This is, of course, to make the Slash Dragon and some of our Hermos fusions that we'll get into later. Next, moving on to the spells. We have 3 copies of Cards of the Red Stone. So, obviously, you know, since it's a vanilla, you don't really want to draw the OG Red Eyes most of the time. And so this can actually help with that. So you send a level 7 Red Eyes monster from your hand to the graveyard in order to draw 2 cards. And then you also have the option to send another level 7 Red Eyes monster from the deck to the grave. So this is really nice, just being able to not only unbrick your hand, but also have additional graveyard setup. So pretty good. Next, we of course have 3 copies of Red Eyes Insight. You send a Red Eyes monster from hand or deck to the graveyard as cost to add a Red Eyes spell or trap from deck to hand, except another copy of this. And of course, the main target we're going to be searching for is the Red Eyes Fusion. So, this is more of a fusion-focused build. You'll see that as we get more into the extra deck. Red Eyes Fusion, it's really good because it lets you send fusion material monsters from your hand or deck to grave. But unfortunately, it has this really huge drawback where you can't summon anything else the entire turn you activate this. So you can't even normal something first and then activate this. Like, it has to be this and only this. You can set, but you can't summon anything else during the turn you want to activate this. It's a really huge drawback. That's unfortunate, but the payoff of some of the fusions can be huge. So, next, 2 copies of Inferno Fire Blast, and then 1 copy of Dragon's Mirror. I'm actually going to take out the Dragon's Mirror and just put in a 3rd copy of Inferno Fire Blast. Because, honestly, while this one sounds good in theory, it never came up at all. So, but Inferno Fire Blast, you get to target a Red Eyes Black Dragon in your monster zone, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that monster. And if you do that, the targeted monster cannot attack. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention with Red Eyes Fusion, the monster fusion summoned with this is treated as Red Eyes Black Dragon. So that may or may not be important later. Wink, wink. But yeah, so I'm going to bump Inferno up to 3 just because, you know, for the extra damage output and the potential for FTKs. I did do it a couple of times, and you can actually see that in the Training for Locals video. Next, 1 Claw of Hermos. So this, of course, just lets us get to some of our other fusions to try to get extra damage in. Next, 2 copies of Red Eyes Spirit. This is just a reborn, so we can get a Red Eyes back from the grave. 1 copy of Red Eyes Fang with Chain. So this one, I run this one mainly just because of the second effect. Because I can send this card to the graveyard, then target an effect monster on the field. That part is the cost. To equip that target to the monster this card was equipped to. So it's, if they try to make like a really huge monster, then this can just steal that monster essentially. So yeah. And finally, rounding out the main deck, we got 2 copies of Max Metalmorph. So this one, we tribute any of our level 5 or higher dragons in order to special summon the full metal from the deck. And we can then equip it to give it an extra 400 attack and defense. And it cannot be targeted or destroyed by the effects of monsters or spells. So that protection is really, really nice. And next, moving on to the extra deck. So we've got 3 copies of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This one, it just does burn, and then we can revive a Red Eyes normal monster as a quick effect. And while it has material, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Next, we have our Hermos fusions. We've got 1 Goddess Bow, 1 Rocket Hermos Cannon, and 1 copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword. Sword is the one we most often use. It mandatory effect equips itself to another monster on the field, and it gains 1,000 attack plus 500 attack and defense for every dragon in or on the field and in both graveyards. And then for these guys, we have to use a warrior monster. That's part of the reason where Gearfried comes in. And then this one allows it to do 2 attacks and then piercing. And then this one, it lets you do a negate during the battle phase. So that way, if you know they have some kind of battle trap, you can do that. Next, we got one copy of Red Eyes Slash Dragon. This one takes the Red Eyes Black Dragon plus a warrior monster. So that's another use for the Gearfried there. Basically, you can equip the Gearfried from the graveyard to this as an equip that gives it 200 attack. And then you can send the equip card to negate a targeting effect. So, yeah, that little protection is pretty nice. Next, we have one Dragoon. I'm not going to spend too long on this one because I think everyone knows what this card does at this point. Really, really good. This is why we run the Dark Magician. And, yeah, this card is really, really good. Next, 3 copies of Meteor Black Comet Dragon. It takes a level 7 Red Eyes plus a level 6 Dragon. And, oddly enough, the Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, you know, the Magician Souls for the deck, that one's level 6. So, nice synergy. Basically, when this is fusion summoned, you send a Red Eyes from deck to grave to burn your opponent for half of that monster's attack. And then when this leaves the field, you get to target a normal monster in your grave and special summon it. So this one is part of the FTK that the deck can technically do. If you are able to summon this and then have 2 copies of Inferno Fire Blast, that's literally just game. Because this guy's got 3,500 original attack. And Red Eyes Fusion makes it treated as Red Eyes Black Dragon. Next, we have 2 copies of Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. So basically, this is why we run Summon Skull. This one is my favorite fusion by far just because of the artwork. When this guy battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects till the end of the damage step. And then at the end of the battle phase, you can target a Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack in the graveyard, and then shuffle it back into the deck. This can only be activated if it battles, though, so you have to still declare an attack. Or have an attack declared on it to use that. But yeah, really cool card. I really enjoy it. And finally, rounding out the extra deck, we have our 2 Dragon's Mirror targets. These never ever came up, being first of the dragons and then 5-headed dragon just for the lols. But yeah, neither one of these came up, so I'll probably cut them since I'm going to cut Dragon's Mirror, but I have no idea what I'm going to put because there's not really that many Red Eyes extra deck monsters. I think we literally have everything in the archetype. So I'm not sure what we're going to do. I kind of looked at the Darkness Metal Link monster, but that's a Link 4, and you're in this version of the deck where you're focusing on the fusions, you're not really going to get that many bodies on board to consistently make that Link 4. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the last 2 extra deck slots. I might try to find just some generic, maybe like a generic rank 7 Dark Dragon or something. Maybe like the Dark Armed Xyz or something. But anyways, that's for another time. Like, subscribe, vote in the locals poll, that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.